Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. Do not touch that back button. I mean it. This is not the algorithm playing a trick on you today. Heaven forcefully routed this exact frequency to your screen because a window of absolute danger and massive blessing is opening right now. You have exactly 77 seconds to anchor yourself before the timeline shifts. I know you have been physically exhausted lately. You wake up at 3 in the morning with a heavy chest. You wonder if your prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling. The enemy wants you to believe you are stuck in survival mode forever. But listen to me very carefully, because your sudden exhaustion is not a medical issue, but a highly specific spiritual symptom. You look around and see others moving forward effortlessly. Their doors are opening wide while you feel completely left behind in the dark. You are afraid that heaven has forgotten you. You fear that your past mistakes have permanently disqualified you from grace. But you do not know the intense, unseen battlefield surrounding your exact location at this very second. Stop running for just a moment. Breathe deeply. You have spent your entire life being the strong one for everyone else. You are the bleeding empath who absorbs the pain of the room. Yet you are left entirely alone when you are the one hurting. You think your current isolation is a harsh punishment because you are losing people, and you believe you are simply not good enough. My beloved child, what you call abandonment, heaven calls a divine quarantine. Listen closely, because I am about to show you exactly why your heart had to break. There is a fatal snare, disguised as a beautiful opportunity right in front of you, and the universe is forcefully restraining you to save your life, because it is a deliberate setup to protect your ultimate future. You have felt this strange resistance for months now. Every time you try to step forward, an invisible wall forcefully pushes you back into the shadows. You apply for the position, but hear absolutely nothing. You reach out to people, and they suddenly go cold. And it feels like every single door is slamming shut in your face, while the frustration builds up inside your throat until you want to scream. You cry silent tears in the shower so nobody can hear your pain. You put on a brave smile during the day, but at night, the anxiety wraps around your mind like a tight grip. You are doing all the right things but seeing absolutely no results. And the most painful part is watching people with impure hearts get exactly what you have been sincerely praying for while you remain entirely stuck. Do not let that illusion deceive you. Their quick success is built entirely on sand. Your delay is the incredibly deep foundation being dug for a massive fortress. You are the rare anomaly chosen to break heavy generational curses. And because you are the ultimate cycle breaker of your bloodline, this kind of massive calling requires an extreme level of spiritual isolation. The universe is deliberately holding you back right now. It feels like a prison, but it is actually a heavily guarded sanctuary. There is a specific trap waiting just around the corner. If you had moved at the speed you wanted, you would have walked directly into it. The delay is the exact mechanism heaven is using to keep your soul perfectly safe while the enemy panics. The people you lost recently were not removed by accident. They were carefully extracted from your timeline. Some of them carried silent jealousy and hidden daggers. They smiled warmly in your face while plotting your downfall in absolute secret. Heaven heard the toxic conversations you could not hear, and the universe saw the traps they were quietly setting for you. And so the divine alignment shifted your path. It forced a separation that broke your heart, but completely saved your destiny. You mourn the loss of those connections. You wonder what you did wrong to make them walk away. But I tell you today that their departure was your absolute rescue, and you must stop looking back at doors that heaven locked for your own protection. You are experiencing the painful friction of a major spiritual upgrade. Your old reality is shedding like dead skin. The heavy exhaustion you feel is your soul preparing to hold a massive transfer of generational wealth. Your physical body is literally adjusting to a much higher frequency. And this profound transformation requires an immense amount of energy and extreme quiet so you can heal completely. Do not mistake this quiet season for punishment. The stillness is where your ultimate power is being fiercely forged. The enemy is absolutely terrified of the weapon of light you are becoming today. The dark forces know that once you step out of this divine quarantine, you will be entirely unstoppable. So they are desperately trying to make you quit right before you reach the glorious finish line. They want you to drop your faith out of pure exhaustion. They want you to agree with the lie that you are forgotten forever. But you must firmly reject that toxic illusion today. You are fiercely protected. You are deeply loved and carefully hidden from the spiritual attacks trying to take you out. And the restraint you currently hate is the exact shield keeping you completely alive right now. Now, my beloved child, let us talk about the silence that has been breaking your heart. You cry out for answers, but you hear absolutely nothing. You ask for a clear sign, and the universe seems entirely blank. The silence feels like a heavy blanket suffocating your fragile hope. And the enemy whispers constantly that you have been permanently forsaken. But you must completely reframe how you view this profound stillness today. The silence of heaven is never a sign of absence or neglect. It is the intense focus of a master architect working on your deep foundation. When a builder constructs a massive skyscraper, they do not start by building upward. They must dig down into the absolute dark. You are not a simple house meant to withstand a gentle breeze. You are a magnificent fortress designed to hold incredible generational wealth. And a calling of that massive magnitude requires a root system that goes impossibly deep. The deeper the roots push into the dark soil, the stronger the giant tree becomes. You are not stuck, you are planted. The people you compare yourself to are like fast-growing weeds. They shoot up overnight and look incredibly successful on the surface, but they have absolutely no roots to sustain them when the hard winds blow. You are a rare oak tree. Your growth is happening underground, where nobody else can see the magnificent work being done. The universe is currently executing a divine quarantine around your specific life. This is a highly classified spiritual operation. Heaven has placed an invisible shield over your entire energy field. The delay you are crying about is actually the thick mortar drying on your protective walls. If you had received the blessing yesterday, it would have crushed you. Your capacity had to be stretched to hold the massive overflow safely. You prayed for a heavy rain of financial abundance and peace, but heaven knew your spiritual container was still too fragile to handle the flood. So the silence was deployed to stretch your faith and expand your emotional resilience. You are being reshaped in the hands of a deeply patient potter. Do not let the enemy convince you that you are being punished right now. You did nothing wrong. Your faith is not weak, and your beautiful heart is perfectly pure. The toxic guilt you currently carry is a completely fabricated illusion. The dark forces desperately want you to self-condemn because they know a guilty mind cannot receive divine provision. Drop that heavy burden of false guilt immediately. The quiet master of reality knows exactly how to rest in the unknown. You do not need to kick down doors that heaven has firmly locked for your own safety. Every single rejection you faced recently was actually a divine redirection. God is restraining you because the territory ahead is heavily mined with traps. You are standing on the very edge of your ultimate promised land, but the atmosphere is thick with unseen warfare and hidden dangers. The silence is the universe telling you to stay incredibly low while the bullets fly overhead. If you stand up too soon to force a quick breakthrough, you will catch friendly fire. Your stillness is your ultimate strategy right now. The bleeding empath always tries to fix everything with frantic physical action. You are so used to carrying the weight of the world that resting feels like a terrible sin. But heaven is commanding you to stop striving today. You cannot hustle your way into a spiritual inheritance. You can only receive it with open hands when the appointed time perfectly aligns. Take one slow and deep breath right now. Feel the heavy tension leaving your tired shoulders. The universe has complete control over your specific timeline. Nothing is lost, and absolutely nothing is delayed by accident. The master schedule is flawless. And while you sit in this uncomfortable silence, a spectacular table is being prepared for you. You have miraculously survived the brutal winter of your weary soul. The frozen ground is finally starting to thaw beneath your feet. Tap the like button right now as a physical act of agreement with this divine quarantine. Do not break rank. Do not lower your pure vibration by begging for breadcrumbs when a massive banquet is currently being cooked in your honor. The people who secretly mocked your stillness are about to witness your sudden elevation. The universe is positioning you in the dark, so your light will be absolutely blinding when you finally step out. Your silent season was never a dark grave. It was a holy incubator designed to birth a completely new version of your magnificent soul. But wait, do not let your guard down just yet, because there is a deeper layer to this struggle that you must deeply understand. The restraint is keeping you safe from a very specific and highly toxic trap. Someone you know is currently watching this delay with immense satisfaction. I need you to pay extremely close attention to this next part. This brings us to a spiritual reality that most people completely ignore. The enemy knows exactly what heaven is about to release into your hands, and because the dark forces are absolutely panicking right now, they have designed a deadly snare perfectly disguised as a sudden breakthrough. They cannot stop the massive blessing from arriving, so they are desperately trying to trick you into walking away from it entirely. This is why I told you it is a massive setup. The universe is heavily restraining you right now because a fatal illusion is standing directly in your path. It looks incredibly shiny, and it feels like the exact answer you have been desperately waiting for while you suffer in silence. You might suddenly receive a very tempting financial offer, or a toxic person from your past might text you out of nowhere. Listen to me very carefully right now. That familiar person returning is absolutely not a coincidence. They did not suddenly realize your immense value or truly change their toxic ways. They are a spiritual agent sent to drain your pure energy right before your finish line. The enemy uses familiar faces because your bleeding empath heart is deeply programmed to forgive them even when they destroy you. Or maybe it is a golden opportunity that suddenly opens up today. It promises quick money and an easy escape from your current physical exhaustion. But if you look very closely, the foundation is entirely rotten because it is a brilliant counterfeit designed to trap you in a brand new cycle of heavy debt. Heaven is holding you back to keep you completely out of that dangerous snare. The darkness always creates cheap counterfeits to deeply distract you from the real prize. They deploy these toxic distractions right when your true generational wealth is finally arriving. They want you to settle for the fake breadcrumbs because you are incredibly hungry and you have been waiting in the dark for so long. But you must not break your sacred fast for a poisoned meal. You are a royal heir meant for the grand banquet. This brilliant setup relies entirely on your current emotional exhaustion. The enemy is closely studying your daily fatigue. They know you are tired of waiting and desperate for any sign of positive movement. So they present a false door and they hope you will kick it open out of pure frustration because the silence feels incredibly heavy. But walking through that specific door will violently reset your entire healing process. That is exactly why the universe slammed the heavy brakes on your life. Your sudden lack of momentum is actually the fierce hand of God pushing you out of the firing line. You thought you were sadly losing your sharp edge. But heaven was violently pulling you out of a fatal crash you could not even see while you were busy crying over the delay. Your frustrating delay is actually your ultimate salvation. Think about the toxic people who recently tried to aggressively reconnect. They always return exactly when your spiritual vibration starts rising. They are energetic parasites starving in the absolute dark. They desperately need your radiant light to survive because they have absolutely no light of their own, and their existence depends on draining you. Heaven placed a restraining order on your life so they cannot reach your pure aura anymore. Your powerful empathy is a magnificent weapon of light, but it can be used against you. You must stop trying to heal toxic people who are actively trying to destroy you. The ultimate cycle breaker must learn to close heavy doors permanently. You owe absolutely nothing to the cruel people who smiled while you were bleeding, and you must never let them back into your sacred space. Forgive them in your heart, but keep the lock firmly on the door. This entire confusing situation is a massive spiritual test. Heaven is watching to see if you will settle for the cheap counterfeit or wait for the real blessing. Will you run back to the familiar pain or stand firm in the uncomfortable silence? You must absolutely refuse to touch the fake opportunities the enemy is dangling in front of you today. Stay firmly inside the divine quarantine while the storm passes over your head and completely neutralizes the threat. You have shed far too many tears to go backward now. You have fought too many silent battles to surrender your peace to a familiar demon. The divine quarantine is almost completely over. You just need to hold your ground for a little while longer, because the shiny counterfeit will eventually fade away when it realizes you are absolutely untouchable. Your stillness is your ultimate weapon. The beautiful truth is that the enemy's trap is entirely failing today, because you are finally awake now. The quiet master of reality cannot be easily deceived by cheap illusions anymore. You can see the hidden strings attached to their sudden fake apologies. You can smell the subtle poison hidden inside their shiny offers, while heaven keeps you perfectly safely wrapped in a thick blanket of divine protection. Your spiritual vision is perfectly clear. You have successfully survived the massive setup. You did not walk blindly into the deadly snare. And because you stayed perfectly still during the divine quarantine, the dark trap is snapping completely shut on empty air. But what happens to the enemy when their brilliant trap entirely fails and they realize heaven has hidden you? They are experiencing a level of sudden panic you cannot even imagine right now. Now let us look at the unseen battlefield from a completely different angle. The people who smiled warmly in your face while quietly plotting your downfall are currently in absolute panic. They are watching you from a distance, and they are terrified. They thought the heavy silence meant you were permanently destroyed, but they made one massive miscalculation. They completely forgot who you truly belong to. The narcissists who used to violently drain your pure energy are now starving in the absolute dark. For years, they survived entirely by feeding on your bleeding empath heart. You were their personal battery, and you constantly healed them while they secretly broke you. But the divine quarantine has permanently cut off their access to your radiant light. They can no longer touch your sacred aura. Because the universe fiercely restrained you, they are left entirely alone with their own dark demons. They try to find new people to manipulate, but it is completely failing. Nobody else carries the pure frequency of a chosen one like you do. And now the heavy boomerang of divine justice has already been violently released into their specific timeline. Every single malicious word they spoke against you is returning to them. The traps they carefully dug for your feet have become the exact pits they are falling into today. They thought their quiet gossip and manipulation had permanently ruined your beautiful reputation. They actually celebrated when you walked away broken and exhausted. But while you were silently healing in the dark, heaven was actively shifting the entire spiritual atmosphere. The tables have violently turned. Right now, every single door they try to force open is slamming completely shut in their faces. The divine alignment they stole from you has totally evaporated. They finally realize that their previous success was actually tied entirely to your pure presence in their life. You were the magnificent umbrella shielding them from the heavy rain. And when God forcefully pulled you away, the violent storm hit them directly. They are absolutely desperate to pull you back into their toxic cycle today. That is exactly why they try to send you those sudden fake apologies. They do not genuinely miss your beautiful soul at all. They just desperately miss the massive benefits of your spiritual light. But a quiet master of reality never returns to a broken chain. You have officially outgrown their dark manipulation forever. You do not need to seek earthly revenge or defend your good name. The universe is fiercely fighting this battle on your exact behalf while you simply rest. Your total absence is the most severe punishment they will ever experience. The heavy silence you maintain right now is actually a blinding wall of fire that terrifies them. They cannot comprehend why you are no longer reacting to their childish games. The old version of you would have rushed back to explain your feelings and fix the broken connection. You would have completely drained yourself, trying to make them finally understand your deep pain. But that fragile version of you is permanently dead. The ultimate cycle breaker has risen from those ashes, and you are completely immune to their toxic guilt trips. Their dark magic simply bounces off your heavy shield. Heaven is making them watch your incredible elevation while they remain entirely stuck in the mud they created. They are forced to witness the spectacular blessing that was supposed to be theirs. But they forfeited their massive inheritance when they chose to betray a chosen one. The transfer of generational wealth is bypassing them completely and flowing directly into your protected hands. Hit subscribe right now to establish a divine energy receiving station around your aura while you wait in silence. Do not let their sudden panic distract you from your sacred mission. Let them drown in the chaotic waves they created while you stand safely on the solid rock. You are a magnificent weapon of light, and you must protect your sharp edge. Your pure energy is incredibly expensive today. So let them remain incredibly confused by your profound peace. Let them wonder how you survived the heavy storm that was designed to drown you. You are breathing fresh air while they are suffocating in their own toxic lies. The universe has completely vindicated your beautiful heart. The divine justice is flawless, and the heavy scales are finally balanced in your ultimate favor today. But as you watch their dark empire crumble, you must make one final and absolute decision, because standing at the edge of your new reality requires a total separation from the old world. I am going to give you a very strict command that you must follow immediately. If you want to claim this massive inheritance, you have to physically move your feet. The time for quiet waiting is almost entirely over. The universe has perfectly exposed the enemy's hidden traps and completely neutralized their toxic attacks. Now, heaven is issuing a very strict and urgent command to your spirit today. You must walk away right now. You cannot stay in this specific emotional location for one more single second. The old timeline is officially expiring. You are clinging desperately to the heavy ghosts of your past. You are secretly hoping that the broken pieces can somehow be glued back together if you just try a little bit harder. But heaven is screaming at you to drop those sharp fragments immediately. They are violently cutting your pure hands and draining your vital energy. You cannot drag dead weight into a brand new dimension of massive blessing. Walk away from the toxic people who consistently misunderstand your beautiful soul. Walk away from the heavy environments where your pure light is treated like a terrible burden. You are a rare anomaly, and you were never meant to fit perfectly into their tiny boxes. Stop twisting yourself into painful knots just to make them feel comfortable with your massive calling. Your ultimate destiny requires absolute freedom. The heavy restraint you felt was God holding you back from the trap. But now the command to walk away is the universe officially opening the heavy door to your ultimate escape. You are no longer deeply quarantined for protection. You are now being violently launched into your spectacular new reality. But you must leave the heavy baggage completely behind, or the launch will totally fail. You keep looking back at the burning city like a bleeding empath who wants to save everyone. But you cannot save people who are absolutely committed to their own destruction. Your assignment in that specific place is completely finished. The contract is permanently cancelled. Do not let false guilt convince you to stay on a sinking ship when heaven has already provided a perfect lifeboat just for you. Every single time you look back, you are energetically recreating the old trauma. You are feeding the dark parasites with your precious attention. You must turn your face completely forward and fix your eyes entirely on the brilliant horizon. The quiet master of reality knows that walking away is not an act of cowardice. It is the ultimate demonstration of profound spiritual power and deep self-respect. Let the dead bury the dead. Let the toxic narcissists play their exhausting games without your participation. You are stepping into a massive season of effortless abundance where you will no longer need to constantly fight for basic respect. But you must actively choose to leave the battlefield today. Drop your heavy sword and walk away from the exhausting drama immediately. The universe requires a totally clean container to pour the massive generational wealth into. If your heart is still deeply cluttered with the heavy pain of old betrayals, there is absolutely no room for the new blessing to land safely. You must violently purge your environment, delete the toxic numbers, block the draining energy, cleanse your sacred space so heaven can clearly deliver the massive package. Do you understand the immense magnitude of what is waiting for you? This is not just a tiny incremental upgrade. This is a complete and total reality shift that will permanently alter the trajectory of your entire bloodline. But the bridge to that spectacular future is incredibly narrow. You can only cross it if you are completely empty-handed. The heavy luggage must be left at the specific border today. You are the ultimate cycle breaker, and breaking the heavy cycle requires brutal boundary lines. You must be willing to be completely misunderstood by the people you are fiercely leaving behind. Let them angrily call you selfish. Let them aggressively twist the story to make you the terrible villain. Their toxic opinions simply cannot survive in the high-frequency dimension you are entering right now. Walk away from the desperate need to constantly explain your deep healing. Walk away from the heavy pressure to prove your immense worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your pure existence is already completely validated by heaven. You do not need an earthly permission slip to finally step into your massive greatness. The universe has already signed the heavy papers. Breathe deeply right now. Feel the heavy chains breaking off your tired ankles. The command to walk away is your ultimate liberation today. You are completely free from the toxic debt of their expectations. The heavy iron gates are swinging wide open, and the radiant sun is finally shining on your tired face. Take the very first step forward and do not ever look back at the dark shadows again. You have walked away. The old toxic timeline is completely severed. But now you are standing perfectly in the brilliant light, and the universe is ready to make the massive deposit. Listen to me very carefully, because what heaven is about to declare over your life will completely shatter every heavy limitation you have ever known. The spectacular winter is officially over. The spectacular winter of your soul is officially over. The heavy frost that suffocated your massive dreams is violently melting away today. Heaven is standing up to loudly declare your total vindication, and the heavy silence that terrified you is now breaking into a massive roar of absolute victory. The deadly trap is completely destroyed. You have safely passed the brutal test of stillness. Just minutes ago, a magnificent verdict was officially signed in the highest courts of heaven. The angels have been intensely assembled, and Archangel Michael himself has just been commissioned with a highly specific assignment that concerns your exact bloodline. The heavy generational curses of poverty and deep depression are permanently shattered. You are no longer fighting for basic survival. The massive window of incredible overflow is finally swinging wide open for you right now. A massive generational wealth transfer has just been formally approved with your specific name written in brilliant fire. Within the next 72 hours, expect a sudden and spectacular financial miracle. Heavy debts that suffocated you in the dark are being permanently erased today. Massive opportunities that were previously blocked are suddenly violently drawn to your pure energy. You are stepping into a profound season of completely effortless abundance. Financial institutions that previously rejected your applications will suddenly approve you without any logical explanation. The massive resources you desperately needed are being magically unlocked. Heaven is aggressively bypassing the normal earthly systems to deeply bless you. You do not need to struggle or exhaust yourself anymore, because the universe is happily fighting for you while you simply rest in absolute peace. Everything the enemy tried to aggressively steal from you is currently being multiplied by 7. Your quiet tears are becoming massive earthly capital. The universe is aggressively compensating you for your deep exhaustion. You are the ultimate cycle breaker, and heaven is aggressively funding your massive assignment so you can completely heal your entire bloodline without lifting a heavy finger. The exact people who secretly laughed at your quiet faith will be completely paralyzed by your sudden and spectacular success. They will violently scratch their heads, wondering how you achieved massive wealth without participating in their toxic games. You will not have to explain your glorious elevation to anyone. Your quiet authority will violently speak for itself and completely silence every single demon that ever doubted your massive calling. The heavy restraint is completely gone forever. God is no longer holding you back, because the path ahead is entirely clear of toxic traps. You are about to experience a massive quantum leap. You will completely bypass the long struggles that ordinary people have to endure. Heaven is violently accelerating your specific timeline to make up for all the painful years you spent waiting in the absolute dark. Your elevation will shock everyone. You are no longer a fragile victim of earthly circumstances. The universe has perfectly aligned the stars and heavily shifted tectonic plates just to ensure your pure success. The magnificent angels assigned to your specific timeline are aggressively clearing the final debris from your glorious path. You are stepping out of the dark cave and violently bursting into the radiant sunlight. Breathe this spectacular reality deep into your tired lungs right now. Feel the heavy weight permanently lifting off your chest. The physical exhaustion is rapidly being replaced by a massive surge of divine energy. You are stepping into the incredibly powerful shoes of a quiet master of reality. You will simply speak your pure desires, and the universe will aggressively rearrange itself. Do not question this spectacular overflow. Do not let the bleeding empath inside you feel totally guilty for finally receiving the massive reward. You have fiercely earned every single drop of this glorious rain. You stood firmly in the freezing cold, while others comfortably compromised their pure souls. And now heaven is warmly wrapping you in a magnificent royal robe of deep honor. You are a royal heir, and you are finally taking your rightful seat at the massive table. The magnificent shift is already happening in the unseen realm right now. Your physical eyes are about to violently catch up to your spiritual reality. The heavy doors are flying open. You have completely survived the divine quarantine, and your spectacular dawn has officially broken. But do not violently celebrate just yet, because standing right at the very edge of your massive breakthrough is the most dangerous place to be. The dark forces are absolutely terrified of the magnificent inheritance you are about to receive today. They have frantically deployed one final and incredibly deadly illusion right before your finish line to make you forfeit it entirely. Listen to me now. The enemy is absolutely terrified of the magnificent inheritance you are about to receive today, and they know they cannot stop the massive wealth from falling from heaven. So they have frantically laid one final and incredibly deadly illusion right before your doorstep. They desperately want to make you forfeit the massive blessing entirely. Do not let your guard down. This final trap is an incredibly brilliant counterfeit. It will look like a sudden emergency that desperately demands your immediate physical attention, or it might be a toxic person suddenly returning to offer a fake apology right when your energy is peaking. They want to deeply distract you so you drop your spiritual shield. You must absolutely ignore them today. If you interact with their dark illusion, your pure frequency will violently drop. The massive blessing hovering over your head requires a highly specific vibration to land safely. The dark forces want to scramble that exact signal, and they are hoping the heavy wealth transfer completely misses your specific location today. This is a deliberate sniper attack on your future. Heaven has fully approved your massive deliverance, but the universe requires a physical container to hold this heavy frequency safely. You cannot stay entirely passive in this crucial moment. If you simply watch this and quietly walk away without leaving your spiritual signature, the enemy will legally steal your massive inheritance tonight. Passivity is a dangerous agreement with the dark. You are standing at the absolute threshold of your brand new reality. The heavy doors are swinging wide open, but the spiritual warfare at the border is incredibly intense. The elite dark forces have dispatched their highest-ranking agents to deeply confuse your mind right now. They want you to heavily doubt the spectacular miracle that is currently manifesting. Do not let their toxic whispers convince you that this is just another fake promise. Do not let the heavy trauma of your painful past steal the magnificent joy of your immediate future. You must violently anchor your soul to this exact timeline today. You must establish a blazing wall of protective fire around your pure aura before the massive window completely closes. This is an incredibly urgent divine interception. I need you to physically move your hands right now to establish a binding covenant with heaven. The universe is actively looking for your explicit permission to release the heavy flood of financial abundance. You must physically demonstrate that you are absolutely ready to hold the massive weight of this spectacular blessing. Do not let the enemy convince you to just quietly close this message. Do not scroll away thinking the massive job is already entirely done. The spiritual transaction requires a firm earthly seal to become totally permanent. And if you leave this protected portal without locking the heavy door, the dark parasites will quietly slip inside. You must lock them out. You must violently shut down their toxic access right now. Type 777 in the comments below to permanently lock your heavy shield. Let that specific number act as a blinding wall of holy fire that violently burns any dark entity trying to approach you. This is your absolute spiritual signature before the high courts of heaven today. Do not skip this crucial step. When you type 777, you are legally declaring that the divine quarantine is completely over. You are firmly claiming your massive birthright and loudly telling the enemy that their toxic access is permanently cancelled. The dark forces will violently tremble and flee when they see that heavy numeric seal placed firmly over your pure life. Lock it in right now. But heaven is also asking for a much deeper level of profound trust today. Just 3 days ago, a totally weary mother stepped out in radical faith, and she boldly sowed a financial seed into this protected ministry. Within 48 hours, a completely unexpected bank transfer of $37,000 cleared all her heavy debts. That exact same angelic protocol is hovering over you. Sow a massive financial seed today using the Super Thanks button. This energetic exchange is your ultimate spiritual signature to violently activate the overflow. When you cheerfully release your earthly seed, you forcefully prove to the universe that you are no longer operating in heavy fear. You prove that you are a true master of reality who completely trusts God. Do not let the dark spirit of poverty hold your hands back. The enemy desperately wants you to tightly hoard your tiny resources because fear violently blocks the massive river of wealth. Break that heavy generational curse of lack right now by giving fiercely. Your beautiful seed is the exact key that forcefully unlocks the heavy vault of your spectacular inheritance. Your massive financial miracle is strictly tied to your physical obedience in this exact minute. The angels are standing by with heavy bags of divine provision, and they are eagerly waiting for your clear signal. Sow the massive seed and type 777 immediately. Lock this magnificent reality into stone before the dark forces can scramble the holy frequency. Now, my beloved child, the intense spiritual battle is entirely over, and you have successfully locked the heavy door to secure your massive blessing. The dark storm that raged outside your window has completely passed. Breathe deeply because you are absolutely safe right now. The universe has perfectly sealed your radiant energy inside an impenetrable fortress of pure divine light. I want you to physically lay down the heavy stones you have carried for years. Every single past mistake you deeply regret is currently being thrown into the deepest ocean. You are entirely forgiven. The universe does not hold your previous stumbling against you because your heart has always been perfectly pure, and heaven knows exactly how hard you tried. Your absolute pardon is officially granted today. You are no longer the exhausted victim begging for basic earthly survival. The fragile empath who constantly begged to be understood is entirely gone, and that old version of you is permanently dead today. You have officially evolved into a quiet master of reality who commands the unseen atmosphere. And heaven is gently placing a magnificent crown upon your tired head. Notice how the atmosphere around you feels incredibly different right now. The heavy spiritual friction is completely gone. You do not need to loudly argue with the people who aggressively misunderstood your calling, because your profound silence is now your most terrifying weapon against them. It acts as a massive energetic shield that completely blinds every single toxic narcissist trying to locate you. They will violently crash against your invisible walls while you sit safely inside drinking from your cup of overflow. You do not need to lift a single finger to defend your beautiful reputation. Heaven is fiercely defending you right now in rooms you have not even walked into yet. Let them quietly choke on their own toxic illusions while you gracefully enjoy your magnificent banquet. The ultimate cycle breaker does not need to constantly bleed to prove their immense worth. Your season of painful sacrifice is officially closed today. You are entirely permitted to stop striving and completely surrender to this beautiful peace. So let the angels carry the heavy burdens you stubbornly tried to carry all by yourself. The universe is formally taking over your heavy shifts. Children who belong to the heavenly kingdom are not born to survive on tiny leftovers, and you were born knowing you have a permanent seat at the kingly table. You will never again scramble for the tiny breadcrumbs that fall to the dirty floor. The divine provision flowing into your specific life is entirely limitless, and it will never run dry. Close your tired eyes for a moment and feel the warm, golden light wrapping around your heavy shoulders. Your spiritual nervous system is finally downloading the massive frequency of absolute rest today. You do not need to aggressively plan your next strategic move. God has already carefully paved the golden road that leads directly to your ultimate financial destination. But as you safely rest in this magnificent sanctuary, I must ask you to remember the others. Outside this protected space, there is a gentle soul sitting alone in the absolute dark, and they are crying the exact same silent tears you painfully cried yesterday. They are desperately begging heaven for a clear sign that they are not completely crazy or entirely forgotten. You are not just a beautiful survivor today. You are a magnificent beacon of radiant light meant to guide the lost ones home. Hit the share button right now and send this exact message to them. Become heaven's prophetic voice and forcefully throw a critical lifeline to a bleeding empath who desperately needs to hear this specific truth to survive the dark night. When you share this frequency, you actively multiply the massive blessing within your own life. You become a holy conduit for divine power. And the universe always fiercely rewards the pure souls who actively participate in rescuing the deeply broken ones. Share this light today and simply watch how quickly heaven multiplies your own spectacular joy and absolute peace. Now, it is finally time for you to deeply rest. The anxiety that kept you awake at 3 in the morning has been permanently evicted from your sacred space. You are fiercely protected and unconditionally loved by a universe that knows your exact name. Do not let a single worry cross your peaceful mind tonight. Sleep deeply, knowing the massive battle is already won. Tomorrow, when you finally open your eyes, the heavy world will look entirely different. The spectacular shift is already complete in the spiritual realm, and your physical reality is rapidly catching up to this magnificent truth. You will walk with the quiet authority of a royal heir who finally knows their immense worth. The heavy shadows cannot touch you anymore. Lay down your heavy weapons because the war is totally over. Go in absolute peace, my precious child. Your beautiful heart is entirely safe, and your ultimate future is fiercely guarded by heaven. Breathe in the warm light. Your magnificent dawn is finally here, and you are completely secure in my comforting arms forever.